people with a lot of knowledge, experience, and education in different areas. And our country need people to invest. Now, a lot of people have what it takes. They have the money, but the only problem is when it comes to given the opportunity to make the right investment in the Gambia. Oftentimes, even before this administration, in Jammeh's administration and Jawara's administration, investments are usually, determined by who you know. People that you are closely associated with in power. There is always like nepotism kind of style, in our government, whereby people who are close to the rich and famous and people with in higher class distinction level, people close to those in power are usually given this kind of opportunity. And also, we have seen during the past that foreigners have been given more opportunities than the citizens themselves. That has to do with different things. But investment opportunity is really important for people in the Gambia, especially people in the diaspora. And that's why we're going to talk about today. We're also going to highlight on taxes. There is a lot of uncollected taxes out there that the government and that the people in power need to focus on, and some areas where they overtax. So our discussion is going to center on that today. We will have people open, to question our panelists, and we will also kind of ask questions among ourselves to deep dive in to these subjects. So our focus will be on investment and taxes. With that, I'm just gonna start introducing the panelists. We have Sam Ceesy, Pennsylvania, Indiana, in the United States. And we have Alice from Germany. And today we didn't have any guests because last week we were very overwhelmed with Lovette. And by next week, we're gonna try to find someone who can come in other areas that they can also present. But looking at the investment opportunities in the Gambia, I'm looking at some documents when we host Jammeh out of power. Okay, so with IMF, International Monetary Fund, they saw that the Gambia GDP has grown from in 2018 from 2.6%. It used to be 6.2%. That was the physical deficit, or the deficit used to be 6.2%. Now the GDP in 2018 went to 2.6%. Okay, and then the economy has been kind of like struggling since we used Jammeh out of power. So with the COVID coming in, even though the borough administration were trying to improve certain things that were done during Jammeh's time, with the COVID coming in, now the GDP has declined from 2.5 to minus 2.4% in 2020. That is a big drop. And part of it has to be blamed on COVID. As you know, the COVID has hit the whole world population. So every country has suffered. Now, the country, our country, has been taking money. We have been given 21.2 million as a rapid credit facility for Gambia because of this COVID emergency. And there is also a relief trust debt relief for 2.9 million. The European Union has disbursed a 9.7 million budget support grant, while the World Bank Social Safety Net project has funded a loaded with additional 6 million. All this is to help us. These numbers. The Gambia also seek a debt service deferral under the G20 initiative that could provide between 2.19 million from the creditors, already endorsing an initiative close to 6.68 millions. So if you look at, our economy, it's all over the place. Our GDP has fallen. COVID came, we're getting some money from the World Bank and other places. And now we're getting some debt, debt relief from other European unions and other places. So, in other words, we're suffering, but we're also getting help. So our economy is it's not flat down. It's not that bad, if you look at it. Now, the only thing that Gambia needs is investment. So this is why this topic is very important. It might sound complicated for ordinary folks, but these are the kind of things that we need to think. When we think about money, how to save it, how to make money, and how to invest wisely without stopping your citizens from making the right investments for the country to grow. Because let me tell you, government cannot create jobs. They can give opportunities for jobs. I met with President Barrow and he said this to me. They create loopholes for job creations, but government alone cannot create jobs. It's the private sector, private businesses, and the individuals. So with that, I just give you a brief summary of the state of economy, and I will let Alice come in to discuss, and Sam to discuss some of the hurdles and what our government needs to do. Alice, you have the floor. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sawaneh. Yeah. Just that I was muted. Yeah, hello everybody, and thank you, Mr. Sawaneh and Sam. In fact, you raised a very important topic. I mean, we are lucky that, as you said, our economy is not flat down. At least we get help. Yeah, for me, I just wanted to say that, especially about investment in Gambia from the diaspora, that could have been a significant impact on the Gambian economy when all diasporans bring their experience and invest in the Gambia. And this is a point which is a little bit neglected, I think, and there is no support. As you said, the people who can invest are mostly people related to special category. I can understand because we're still suffering from this corruption thing, And I think that's not the only point. I mean, some officers themselves, they don't make it easy for diaspora sometimes, as they make for foreigners, because maybe foreigners are more respected also, But I've heard many diasporans complaining about this issue. And some even went to the extent that they even invested without help of the government, but they couldn't make it. They have to leave the Gambia and could go run out again. You know, for me, I mean, I realized my own. So I'm not talking about others, but I had my own experience too. And purposely was just to help the youths and youth employment. But after some time, I just gave up because there was no help. And that happened to a lot of diasporans also who were having this intention, I know. And which is very sad because if you look other countries, the governments, they work hand in hand with the diasporans, uh, for the greater good. And for us, I mean, for diasporans, they were very happy in 2016, and many were having very big and good intentions, you know. That was the time also when Barrow was all the time on TV praising the diasporans with another language, you know. So all of a sudden, things switch, So we were, or the diasporans were the enemies, in fact, because he was manipulated and told that these people are your enemies. So there was a still moment, and even still today. So because we are having a government, certain officers are still there, and these officers, they came from somewhere, and they've been acting for years different. So, and they were not very happy about diasporans, which is a fact. Everybody knows that. That's why those days I used to advise people, look, you have to wait till Gambia is a playing ground for diasporans, because at the moment, I don't see it like that. Unless we had a big change in the government, and you can say yes. But understand that these people are still there in certain areas, and they know you, and they'll never make it easy for you. And we have the proofs already, because many people got job there, and they were mobbed and disturbed till they have to run away. And we don't have only one example or two. Unless you be a boss somewhere or a minister where you have the chance, because you have the say, but still in such positions you are going to be disturbed somehow or try to drag you down. We have seen it with a lot of Gambians, and businesses are also not different. Even to get a license also, or you need help, you don't see it, because when people don't favor you or you are not a relative, also they block it. And these are all things what is not helping the Gambia, because one is trying to come and invest, as you said, and try to give employment to people, empower the youths and the women or whatsoever, and help the government, because when these people are working and paying their tax, the government is just going to make profit out of it. But these are things what certain officers don't know. What they know is their own pocket. When that is full, it's okay, So these are the people who used to say they love Gambia, and these are the people we have in our important offices. So we should not wonder when things are still lingering, And many of the diasporans say, okay, before I take the risk, somewhere even there, but they have to pack their things and run away. And that should not be. It's very sad anyway, because these people were coming to develop the nation. That's why I used to say our economy can be significantly impact when all diasporans bring their things, because Gambia is a place for there's investment in opportunities. We can Gambia needs information and technology, for example, agriculture, trade, and the diasporans are having the money to come and do all these things there, but the chance and the cooperation. They need the Gambian government as a cooperation partner, and that is not working. So we have big whys and buts, what we need to clear so that the diasporans can come, because other countries are doing that. The governments are working with them hand in hand, and they're seeing how what's going on. Because as you said, Mr. Sawaneh, the government cannot do everything, which is a fact. So then they had to support the idea of diasporans and give them the way and make it easy for them to come and invest. And not even the diasporans, maybe even other investors when they are clean, because some of them they used to come and use the Gambia as a trafficking point. You know what many people don't know. You know, if they come and try to invest, that's a way of money laundering and all sorts. And these people will get their license and they'll be held, and everywhere they'll call them yes sir, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, sometimes even the tax the government don't see it, you know. So, and that is also another point where we don't have anything from our money. But I would advise diasporans from my side when they can invest in information and technology, agriculture, you know, or especially when we talk about food processing, we Gambian need very urgently, you know, because we used to waste a lot of money just that because we cannot, how to call it, preserve our fruits. You know, if I come here in Europe and go to the market and buy a mango, you know how much that is? So I just think of Gambia, how many tons of mangoes do we just throw away? You know? So Gambia need this processing, food processing, and then especially conservation more, facilities like big freezers and things like that to keep that even for the farmers because it's a waste to process it. Like mango juice, and so if I go to the market here and buy mango juice, what do you think that I have to pay? Because these things, the Europeans and other places, they need it because it's not there. What other countries in Africa also are profiting. Look at Kenya. They used to make a lot of millions just about a kind of flour. You know, these flowers they send to Germany. Just flour, just imagine. But these are things the government must open an eye and know that we are sitting on a gold mine and try to utilize it, you know. But our gold mine, we know, is off just to sit and run to certain countries and then try to get help. No. We can, even when we utilize our resources, we can even help those people who are helping us today. But we have to know how to use our resources. That is our biggest problem. You know, we just sit down till somebody even come and say, look, I want to be an investor. I want to buy this kind of sand and sending it to China. They'll say, oh yeah, thank you very much. So here is your license. You know, yeah, that is the game. That's the game. Because we don't try to utilize our resources. You understand? Which is very sad. And when diasporans come to do these things, you'll be blocked, you'll be asked their share on, I don't know, what on, which is not very attractive for diasporans. I know that when diasporans come there with their experiences and investment, Gambia will be very different. On this thing, I think the government should know it and try to put away these buts and whys, make it easy for diasporans, because at the end of the day, it's just for the Gambia and the Gambians and the youths, for example, because they cannot all be employed from the government, as you said, you know. So I would advise all Gambian diasporans, for example, to come back home and let it grow big, you know. So, but it's not an easy thing because there must be a place for diasporans. Many people want to come home and then because there is nothing like better than home, but these criteria must be there first. So that's all what I wanted to say. And let Sam come in.
All right. Thank you so much for that insight. So Sam, we're gonna let Sam come in and weigh in while we dive deep into this subject.
Well, hello everyone, and thanks to Alice. Alice, definitely a good insight to that. So I really thank you for your time and thank you for bringing all of that up. There's a lot of good stuff there. And Mr. Sawaneh, thanks for hosting this again. And it's a great opportunity to be here. You know, and as usual, you're doing a great job in getting all this organized and getting contacts and, you know, different people on the show. It's always a great thing. So great. With today's topic, I just want to start somewhere first. You know, we're talking about investments, and investments really boost the economy of a country. And so I'm going to start with the economy and go down. I want to say 4 things that really impact economy in a country. There are 4 areas that really have a tremendous impact on any economy in any country. And one of them is the corruption in the institutions, okay? If you think about all the institutions in the Gambia, all the government departments everywhere that investors may come through, if there's a lot of corruption in the institutions, it makes it very difficult for a country to have a good economy. That's one. Educated labor force is important, you know, because if you think about it, if you have a labor force, you have a bunch of people working for the government, and whether it's public servants or civil servants, and all these people holding key positions in the country, if they are not educated, don't have the experience, don't have the knowledge, they don't have the know-how, makes it very difficult for any country. You can have millions of people working there, but if you have nobody that knows how, it's going to be very difficult to build a good economy. Okay, so that's 2. The third one is the high infrastructure. You know, a good infrastructure. I'll put it that way. Infrastructure is important. How the country is laid out. You know, investors need to know that there's good infrastructure here. There's a very good and stable electricity in the country. There is very good and stable internet connections in the country. There is very good and stable water supply in the country. There are very good roads in the country so they can transport their products or services from one end of the country to the other end. All of these play part in investment before investors go into a country. They want to see all of this there. And the fourth one, last but not the least one, is the security. Security is very, very important. If investors want to go to a country to go invest in a country and there's no good security and you have ECOWAS all over the place, economic forces in the country, that's a good sign that that country is not stable. So I'm not going to invest my $10 million into that country and then one day they burn everything down. You know, they will burn things down. So that security is another factor that investors will look at before they invest into something. So these 4 key areas are very, very important to any country's economy, no matter where you are. Then I'll deep dive into it. And the other thing I want to say, I want to focus on the educated labor force. The educated labor force, before I get into investment, is important because in my mind, there are 3 types of people in a working class. If you look at the 3 types of people, one is those who make things happen. And the other group is those who watch things happen. And the third group is those who wonder what happened. Okay. So
everybody should be asking where you belong, right?
Exactly. We need more people that will make things happen, not watch things happen and don't do anything about it, don't know what happened. And those who wonder what happened are the people that are in there, they're part of the job in the workforce. They're there, they don't do anything, no creativity, no knowledge, nothing. They don't.
Are those the sleeping ones?
Exactly. They just there do
they don't say non-action
letting the things go, and they don't even know what is happening in their own place. So when something changed, all of a sudden they say, I wonder what happened. Well, you were there. You should have been paying attention. You should have been doing your job. You should have been involving yourself into all of this so you don't end up wondering what happened. Okay. So we need more people of the group that make things happen. And that's why it's important in an educated labor force. If you have people in there that can really make a change, they are very creative, they are knowledgeable, they're experienced, they can make things happen. And I'll give you one example. About, I'll say in 2009, I worked for a company, and I went there, and in that whole company, they have different stores, and I was a district manager, and I came in, and I reported to the president of the company. It was a small company. I reported to the president of the company. What I found they were doing was all the forms that the store managers use to do their daily task. There's a bunch of forms that they order, but these forms were being ordered from a printing department, just like Gambia does. They print forms in different places, a bunch of forms. They print them from different places. They pay for that printing cost. They pay for shipping to come to their warehouse. And then they turn around and charge the stores for transporting that. And also stores pay the cost of that printing. So I said, okay, so this is how we operate. I told the boss, I said, how about we look at each one of those forms, create it on an Excel form or Word document, create a form library page on every store's desktop or one portal that they can go to and just click and print what you need. You don't have to go through all of this by ordering the forms, have printing, pay for it, pay for the printing and transportation, then charge the stores the cost, and then stores have to order that from the warehouse, and then you have a transportation department that delivers all of that. You can cut all of that out and save money by creating that forms library on their desktop in their back office. They click and print. When they need it, just click and print. So one, they will never run out of forms. Okay. Two, they're not paying anything for the forms. And my boss looked at me and said, "Oh my goodness." And she said, "I don't know what we've been thinking before. We had a ton of vision. We were just like this. We never think outside of the box." And immediately that was implemented, that benefited the whole company. It was my idea. You see? So Gambia, the reason I'm saying this is Gambia needs people that are going to look at investment opportunities and see what we can do. What can we do out of it? Think about it. If, for example, when the Chinese people came to Gambia and wanted to invest, and they want to go to our ocean and fish, catch our fish and then export that to China, somebody in that government should have said, okay, this is a great opportunity. We're going to make a lot of money out of this from them, or we're not going to let them do it. We're going to do it ourselves because they just open the door for you. That's a great opportunity for a Gambia government to the first person that was involved in this to think that, that's the part that I say we need people that make things happen. Somebody should have thought about that and say, okay, well, if we're going to negotiate, they want something from us. You want something from us. All right. So what am I going to get from that? That's what Gambia needs to think about. They should have said, all right, if we're going to let you fish in our country, one, we're going to have a contract agreement. In that contract agreement, this is where they negotiate all of this because they want something from us. We don't want anything from them. They are the ones that came to us and want to fish in our country. All right. We can allow you to fish if you meet these conditions and lay down all of those conditions. Number one is you can bring experts that cannot be found in Gambia because they don't know anything about fishery. They don't know anything about maintaining your fishing trawlers. Yes, bring your own experts. But we want 90% of the employees to be Gambians, not Chinese. Exactly. That's condition one. 90% of employees should be Gambians. We're going to get them in there, train them so that when you have 90% of Gambians working for them, that took a lot of youths, a certain percentage of our youths off the street and from sitting down to get to work. And once they get to work, they have good and also say, we're going to set a minimum expectation. You cannot pay them anything less than this. Set all of that in there, in that contract, right? You agree? All right, good. So now you not only created a job opportunity for Gambians, two, you created a minimum wage where they cannot be paid less because you want these Gambians to make money, be able to feed their families and have leftover money, enough money to be able to spend in the economy. You see, they need to be able to survive out of that, but be able to spend money in the economy. That is the more people have money, the more they invest in the economy. That's the more the economy also boost. Okay.
Yes, that's true.
And they're not going to depend on anything. They can provide for them their own healthcare. They can provide for their own stuff and
Yes.
all that. So those are things. And also, as part of the contract, they can say, well, we're only going to do 3 years. We can sign 3-year contract just to see how this goes. And in that 3-year contract, we want to be able to also, we want Gambians to be able to do a part of this. This is our country. This is our waters, okay? So we're going to let you invest in here, but we also going to want to make sure that since this is our country, this is not China, we want Gambia to be in charge of this in the future. So we want you to, as part of the agreement, we need you to take sponsor 5 Gambians to go and study how this works, to go and see how this works. Let them explore all of fishing, and even some can be specialized in technical field. And these are people that you're going to strategically select. People that came from high school and they went to college, or they went into a technical field. They're very good with technical aspect. They can fix equipment. They can do things. Send them to go learn about these fishing trawlers, because after the 3-year contract, you may say 5 years. We can give you 5 years. At the end of that 5-year contract, Gambia now are going to buy our own fishing trawlers. We're going to buy our own fishing trawlers. We have our own people that are well-trained now that are coming back. And that labor force there will be 100% Gambian. That at that point, at the end of the contract, we can tell the Chinese, all right, we're going to renew your contract for only 2 more years. And here is the new contract. This is where we want you to stop. This is what we're going to do. And that way you have the Gambian owned fishing trawlers out there getting fish, providing that to the country. So one, that becomes a good source for a good reason for fish prices to go down in the country, because Gambians are producing it and they're bringing it to our own market. They're supplying all fish markets. They're supplying everywhere. So Gambia has enough fish, and when there is plenty, more than when there is more production than the demand, the prices go down.
Prices go down, yeah.
Yeah, it goes down. So people have fish at a very reasonable rate. Chinese can continue to produce and ship out. Then at the end of 2 years, the extended 2 years, we say, this is it, time out, we're done. That's the end of the contract. That's what we signed. We don't need you here anymore, period. Now you let Gambians take it over. Then it all becomes Gambia. Wherever they were exporting it, now we can sell it to them and collect 100% proceed of that.
That's it. That's all.
That also comes to our economy. So these are things that we need people in Gambia that are going to think that way. Think about the future of the Gambia. Don't think about your own pocket. That's why I said the first things in there is one of those 4 areas is corruption in the institutions. We need to get people to follow the rules, and corrupted individuals need to be taken out. We need to find a system or have a system called a loss prevention system that's going to prevent any kind of loss to the country, and hold people accountable and responsible for their actions, so that if you catch somebody doing a corrective action, a corruption action, for example, they can be held responsible, take them to court, let them face justice, and set an example so that this will not happen again. That way, everything that is getting invested in our country benefits Gambia, not individuals. And last thing I'll say to this here, and I'll stop here for now. Back in the 90s, I remember I used to work for the U.S. Embassy, and when I was there was a time a group of investors from America came to Gambia, and they were called OPIC, Overseas Private Investment Corporation. This was arranged by the Gambia government and the United States Department of State. They organized it, and they had a diplomat. His name was David Miller. I met him, and I took care of him, and I got him into the country and all of that stuff. He was the one that came back and forth and made all these arrangements before the group came. When the group was coming, the day they were coming, was a bunch of investors from America. I mean, I don't remember how many, but at least 20 of them. All these 20 people like I said, at least 20, it could be 25, could be 30. But all of these people own businesses, and they were looking for partners in Gambia to be able to expand the businesses in there. And you know what? Up to now, I don't know even if single one of them actually invested in the Gambia. Part of the reason would be one of those four things:
Right.
corruption in the in the institution,
Right.
not a good educated labor force. The infrastructure may not be good for them. The security may not be there for them. This may be all part of reasons why they didn't come to invest there. But I know that I witnessed it, I saw it, I met with them, and I talked to them. I did all of that, like I said. So I know quite a bit about that happened. But why didn't we have any of them investing in the Gambia? I don't understand that. So there is something in our system that we need to fight and get out of there so we can encourage investors to come in and invest. And all of the things that Alice said too, all of that, if you think about all of that, what are the barriers that are blocking investors coming in? And, this investment thing, I don't understand why they created an office in the not White House, but the State House for investors to go through the State House. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And that's the disaster we're getting. That's why Gambians are not investing in there. They're getting foreigners, and foreigners, chances are they're taking a back way. They're going that way and getting there until they get to the right person. And that person wants to get something from them first. This person wants to get something from them. This person also wants to get something before he can sign those documents. This is part of our problem. That investment office needs to get out of the White House, at the State House. Okay, it needs to get out of the State House and take it to the Ministry of Trade and let the right things happen for the people. And anybody, whether you're Gambian or foreigner, especially Gambians, need to get an opportunity. They need to be given priority. When they have all that, they need to set a standard. Just like in America, we call standard operating procedure. Here are the procedures. Anybody that follows these procedures and you meet all the requirements, there should not be anything that should block you. You should be able to get it. Whether you're black or white, green, red, whether you're in UDP or PPP or NPP or NCP, whatever party you're in, it does not matter, male or female. You meet the requirements, the standard operating procedure calls for you to have it. And they need to be given that opportunity to be able to invest in Gambia. So these are all barriers that are in there that we need to remove so we can move forward. I'll stop here and thank you.
Thank you for giving us that insight, Sam. What I have learned from, and then this is why we're gonna go in a little deeper, from both of you on this presentation you just did, is that Gambia, we have an issue. The reason why we are still where we are still crawling, because the system, the institution we have in place is not working. If something is not working, what do? You undo it. But if you keep doing the same thing that's not working, that's this definition of insanity, right? We had Jammeh administration for 22 years, and they were boosted out of power simply because the country was not going the right direction. We voted in a democratic, president with coalition, with a lot of talent, and all of a sudden everything disappeared. The talent of think tank, what happened to it? It disappeared. Those are the areas that could probably help with this investment opportunity, right? If you have a think tank in place. But I never heard about it. Now the think tanks are what? The people like Gusanos and others who have no idea, about investment, who have no education, not background. And you're telling me those are your think tank?
Those are the people that watch things happen.
They don't watch things happen.
Yep.
So we are failing because we don't have the structure. And we came up with very high hope that New Gambia will bring us all this in place, investment. I even gave a speech in Wisconsin. What is the diaspora's role in New Gambia? It's on YouTube. I gave it at when they had Madison and Carnifin, this thing, reunion that Samba Balde put together. Samba is the council member at that time. When he put that together, and then the idea was very appealing to a lot of Gambians and even foreigners. We here are sitting down thinking, what can we do for our country? Because we have access to certain things that Gambians in the Gambia don't have access to. But you have to open the doors. If the government is not opening the doors for us to do the investment, or if we are having a hard time getting access to make certain things happen, how do you think we're gonna be able to invest? The only thing we can do perhaps to build houses for ourselves or our family, that would not require any license, wouldn't it? That would not require me to
Even
go to
that can be a problem.
ministry and give them some bribes money. So those are the only thing we can be limited to. So I think it boils down to the structure we have. First, when I met President Barrow, I asked, why are we not giving a Gambian citizen, this was in 2017, the opportunity first before foreigners? Why is it that Gambians want to invest, we give them hard time, and when foreigners come, we jump on them? The president's response was, at that time, Abraham, is it Abraham, the guy who passed away, that was trying to do the Similex ID card. Remember the guy?
Okay, there's a simplex. I don't know.
So that time he
The
was not
ID card.
offered he was not offered the contract. And I give this as an example. And what president said was, the government don't create, the government create loopholes or create avenues, but the government don't create jobs. It's the civilians and then the public sector, which I definitely agree. Okay, but the private sector and those civilians must be given the tools. And those tools are what? Access to everything that will make those businesses happen. But today, Alice, well, Sam, if you go to Gambia, you want to invest, everybody will try to make something out of you.
That's normal.
In that area, especially if you need certain, paperwork to be done. Once they know that you're from Europe, Americas, or anywhere outside, at least you're doing well, they will come and say, bro, if you want this, I'll have a cut. What is my cut? A friend of mine went with an idea to the Gambia. It was kind of like a construction company. I forgot what kind of idea it was. He took it and presented it to the ministry. And guess what happened? They stole the idea. They blocked him and stole the idea. And then after, when he saw it implemented, he told me that, he couldn't believe it. And then they went with somebody that they could make money out of. So I don't need to go into the details of some of this, but what we are saying here is that we have a problem. And unless and until we give our people priority, our citizens, if a Gambian comes with the Chinese foreigners, they're doing the same kind of businesses, instead of giving our business to Similex, give it to Abdurrahman. Instead of giving it to some foreigners from somewhere, give it to Alice. Any kind of investment opportunity, because what these people are looking at is, what can I make of Alice as compared to what can I make of this foreigner? That is the bottom line. They're not looking at the country's interest. They're looking at pocket. So because if Alice is a Gambian like me, Alice isn't going to give me much if I give him the opportunity to this business. But if Sam is from Germany or from China, not that Sam looks like Chinese, but
I hope
but
not.
almost.
close. But they will jump on Sam and say, we're gonna go with Sam. Because why? What the money coming under the table, that's what matters to Gambians.
That's the problem we have.
Not the entire future. Like Sam mentioned prior, if you give an opportunity to Gambian citizen, right? The employer is gonna be Gambians, right? How many people is getting employed from our population? If you give it to the Chinese, the employees will be Chinese. It's common sense. Soon there will be Chinatown in the Gambia if you're not careful. Because the Chinese industry, while the Chinese government, what he's doing is they pump a lot of money to their citizens to go and establish businesses. It's not those citizens' money. And when they create an environment, it's everywhere in the world. When they create that environment, they pay the government little by little. It's a communist, enterprise. It's a way I give you money and invest money in you, and you gradually pay the government. That's why Chinese businesses are very successful. It's not an individual-owned business. It has a lot of layers collected together. That's why you have Chinatown in Jamaica. You have Chinatown even in US here. You go to Washington, D.C., you go to New York, you go to anywhere. Even in Germany, there will be Chinatown there if you investigate. So, Gambians...
No, because the Germans are fighting against it all the time. They don't give them that air.
Exactly. I mean, we Gambians also need to fight against it. But coming to the fish rate, Sam mentioned a very important point. I heard from my some family members that people cannot even buy fish in the Gambia now. A fish costs, I don't know, $50, one piece of fish. One. When I was growing up, in the days in Padibo, we used to have so much fish that we cannot even finish. Barely, fish is like, like going to the river and then pick up fish there. I used to even fish. That's how much easier it is to eat fish. Today, you have to spend one piece of fish $50 or something like that. Why? Because we don't have the system in place. Those boats that are out there are led by foreigners, right? The Senegalese people, they have their boats there. When I went to Tangier last year, when I was in Gambia, guess what happened? I went myself, I was struggling to buy fish. Somebody like me, come from the diaspora, kind of thinking like I have a little bit of money in my pocket, right? But I was weighing among these people selling who has the best deal. That's how much hard it is to buy a fish, because it's so expensive that I had to weigh. I will come to this guy and say, how much is your fish? He will tell me this. I say, okay, let me go and compare it to the other one. Somebody like me, if I can do that from the diaspora, what about people who are there? Right? And I was in Tangier, the Tangier that people are talking about. But the people, Gambians there in Tangier are not directly getting the fish. They come from the boat. And when it comes to Senegalese and this order, they sell it at a higher price to these people. And these people also have to make their profit. So it was not like before. But all this is this institution we have in place failed us. Our fishery department failed us, our government failed us. At this point, we come to a point that, the Chinese also are taking our fish and killing them, taking them to their peaks and other places. Why can't there be regulation? Why is other institution that protects our interests? There will become a time Gambia would be faceless, and this is a very important, food consumption. Fishery is a very important food consumption area. We shouldn't play with that,
right?
Because we cannot even afford meat. You tell me, if there is time to Tobaski and other places, where is Gambian lambs coming from? Senegal. Gambian cannot breed animals. These are animals that we consume. Gambians, we cannot breed them. What is our problem? These are all areas that we don't have to go to Senegal to go and buy, lamb, to go wait until Senegalese people bring lambs for us to buy. We can create our own lamb farms, animal farms, cattle farms. But all this is because of the poor institution in place, poor system in place. We are not being creative in creating investment opportunity. And one important thing is we have to understand our if we don't encourage our citizens, if we discourage them from spending, coming to our country and invest, they will go to other countries. or they will invest it in either Americas or Europe or other places. So what I would like the government and the people in the National Assembly, the lawmakers, let them give us opportunities. Let them cut, the back door, the back door entrance. Let them cut, oh, this is what I expect back. Let them give the license. Let them not go and create insecurity, like Sam is saying. If there's no security, people will be scared to invest. If there's no knowledgeable people in our workforce, people will be scared to invest. So government has a lot to do with this. Us, the citizens, let's not be discouraged. Because if we don't invest in our country, we're going to invest elsewhere. And it's not guaranteed.
And it's very sad.
And then if you open a store here in the US, you're going to employ mostly people from the US. Unless you are at a big Gambian population area. Or if you open some kind of businesses, that's where the employees is going to be. If you open it in Gambia, it's going to be Gambians. Let's make sure we look at areas that we can encourage one another. Because when you are outside, you probably have access to other stuff. You have access, to facilities. I've seen some people here, they have been doing very well, good job with agriculture, employing a lot of Gambians. Some people are doing, sanitation, a kind of investment. Some people are doing all kind of investment. But our Gambian people should know something also. Let's stop stealing from one another. Your brother go and establish a business there. Instead of helping him succeed, you are stealing money. You are cutting money from the person. That investor would definitely be discouraged to invest. Let's be supportive. Let's be transparent. I would not want to go and establish a business in Gambia and I have, my family members, like stealing everything I'm putting in. Why would I be encouraged to invest? So these are all areas we have to communicate. Our citizens, we also have a responsibility. The government shouldn't be stealing from us. The investors, our families and the friends shouldn't be stealing from us. Everybody should get their fair share. You work, you get paid. So this is what I have to add to this subject. And I will let Alas come in and then we'll come back to taxes. We still have some time.
Yeah, Mr. Sawaneh, you said it all. I mean, you are very right. Why should we always give it to other people? I mentioned it sometime. If you have many resources and don't know how to utilize it, it's just like you have nothing. So I come back to these Chinese people. That's why it's very important that we try to invest in the Gambia. Because when you just see about why I mentioned food processing, if you just look at it, these people come to the Gambia, we give them license. They hold office, say sardines. What are they going to do with it? They'll bring it here, put it in tins, nothing more, and maybe a little bit of salt, and send it back to Gambia. Then it's a premium food now, and we go to the shop and buy it and pay a lot of money. So I don't know how many people think of this foolishness, how these people are fooling us with our own resources. And that is just one example with sardines, So when we come to investment, you are very right. Why, or some say that, I think, when somebody comes and say, I want to invest, a foreigner, I want to invest in this and that, the idea is already there. So they should be clever, the officer or whoever, if he has Gambia at heart, would try at that moment thinking about Gambia, and why can't we not use the idea of this foolish man to grow Gambia? You understand? That should be the point. That should be the way. But I think it's often done the other way around. How much can I get for my own people? I mean, for my own pocket and my family. You know, so I think that is also where we have a big problem. But if you watch it carefully, I mean, this food processing or investors coming using our resources, taking it out, making billions out of it, it's our own. Some are right. You know, it's our own. Why can't we not use our brain cells? You know, Chinese are not clever than Gambians. We are 1,000 times smarter.
They think they are.
But
They're clever about
that's it. The smart people, the smart Gambians don't have the opportunity to have this control. That's our problem also. That's why I always say, if you have a lot of resources, don't know how to use it, you have nothing. You know? And what these Chinese are doing, that we can do it. Why can't we, and especially Chinese people, that's how they do. If you go to their place and say you want to invest, they'll tell you yes, no problem. But you have to employ 50 Chinese people. You know, you have to work here for 5 years. Then after we take over, such conditions they used to give. You know why? So this time they have enough time to train their people because they are working there. They know how. At the same time, they send already some people to go and study about this. You know, so before the 5 years comes, so your contract is finished, they'll bring these people back. They are already qualified and put them as bosses. The other people can work together and continue. You know, these are all tactics they use and trying always to use it, especially Africans, because it's easy for them, because they know the key. If you have money, all doors are open for you. You can do in Africa what you want. And this is something very serious. This is what we have to stop. If not, there's as Sawaneh said, there will be a big community, Chinese community. You know,
in the Gambia very soon. We're
yeah,
gonna
you
have
have
Chinatown in the Gambia
Chinatown.
very soon.
You know, those days we used to say Ghana town, but then you have Chinatown. You know, and that is very serious. You know, in Germany here they used to try. The government always try to send them back, even their goods. You know, it's just right nowadays that is a little bit possible. But if not, they don't even let them import. I mean, no importation from them. You know, that's how strict the German government, because they know them. They know their trick. So we Africans, we don't have the chance because we are beggars. It's sad to say, but we are beggars. What they used to say, a beggar has no choice. You know, but why are we beggars? We have to ask ourselves, is that our mistake? Are our officers should not be there?
Because we you
Do
know,
we need
because of the
qualified people
environment.
in these offices? Like Sam said, do we need thinkers? You know, and action takers? You know, when you don't have that as a government, you will be a beggar. We should not be ashamed to say it. You will be a beggar because you don't utilize your resources. You don't use the heads of the Gambian people. You don't use your resources correctly. You wait that foreigners come and use your own resources, just giving you maybe a quarter of it, and you are happy with it. You know, what they think, your Gambian people can think more than that. So why don't you use these heads to go forward and grow your country?
Because they don't look at they don't see
Where,
the country first.
yeah, but some said it. We have this problem also because we have problems of nepotism, politics, you know, religion, and all these primitive, foolish things. You know, this world, these things are very, very, very old things. You have to put it away. Every country is running, trying to see how he can succeed. You know, you can even see it by the vaccine. Every country is fighting. They are spending millions, you know, and then the thing is, everybody wants to prosper because they have invested, every country has already invested millions for it, you know. I mean, nobody wants to accept from the other. Because when you say, Mr. Sawaneh, now I have it here, you know, that's the politics now going on. If you have one, you know, the others will not accept it. They'll turn their backs. Why? Because they already spend money. So when the other one said, I find something, everybody, they don't even talk about it. You know, so that's the politics going on, whether you know it or not. That's why I used to say, why can't they not just come together and try to find something before people are dying like ants here? But they're all, every country is trying to follow his own interest. You understand? That's how smart the world is today. USA don't want to talk about the one discovered in Russia, or Russia want to accept the one discovered from Australia. It's just like that, you know. So we have to think also like that with our economy, with who are the people coming in to invest, you know, and always think about Gambia, 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 not always somebody outside, because what can the Chinese do without us, you know? I mean, they can have the idea, but still, let us copy that, give them time. When that time is over, you give it to the Gambian people. Because that's the same thing they do with every foreigner in China, I tell you this. They did it to Airbus, you know. They wanted to buy some Airbuses, these aeroplanes. What did they say to Airbus? You can, when we have to buy it, you have to build these things in our country. You understand? Clever. They are smart. That means the time they are building these planes, their people already know how to make it. So the next time you'll see Airbus from China. You understand? So we African countries should be very, very smart. When we don't have smart people near us, it's better you try and contact people maybe who can try and pave the way in certain ways. Because I mean, Gambia is a small place. It could be developed very quickly. But look, now we even have a problem to give diasporans a way to come and invest that we grow. Even that is a problem. So what do you think? You know, unless you have people who can think, you talk about your think tank there, nobody talk about it, you know. So maybe that was also going to be a very good instrument, at least to tell the people or our officers, I don't know how fit they were, you know, but give them ideas to follow. So you have to use your resources.
Right.
If not, you're gone, you lose. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alice. I'm gonna let Sam come, but let's also factor the tax aspect of the whole thing, because taxes is very important as well. There is a lot of uncollected taxes and over taxes at certain places, like for example the airport. So all these things are something that our citizens, as a civic education platform, we need to know and we need to be sensitized about. But I'll let Sam come in and then just weigh in a little bit, and then probably bundle, you know, that in his presentation now. Sam.
Yep. Thank you both for what you said, and great ideas. Great. It's a great discussion. This is great. This is really very, very good. One of the things that I wanted to add to this is, you know, like we were talking about Chinese coming over, and there's a Chinatown. Yes, even in Washington, D.C., there is a Chinatown gallery place there. If you take the Metro Red Line and you walk past the Metro from D.C., the train, the underground train will take you the Red Line, you will hear gallery place Chinatown. There is a Chinatown there, but the thing is, you know, Chinese know what they can or cannot do in America. What they're doing in Africa, there is no way, they're not stupid to do that in America. So they're deliberately doing that in Africa, in the African countries, because the Africans are not holding them accountable. In America, there's something called environmental regulations, and that should be in everywhere. Even in Africa, is there.
Exactly.
Following up who is doing the right thing. In here, in the U.S., when you have environmental violations, you can be fined up to $50,000 per day per violation. So think about this, what Gambia government is losing from the Chinese. They could have really enforced their laws and go to Tangier, and every time, first time they see fish all over the place, dead fish all over the place that they didn't clean up, they could say, you know what, this is a violation, we're gonna document this, you need to clean this up within 30 days. You know, if you don't clean it up, this is what's gonna be the result. They come back exactly 30 days, and if it's still there, boom, $50,000. You know, I'm just giving an example. It could be $1 million a day per violation. If they see that violation they didn't clean up, they can come back and say, all right, in the Tangier area, you had this fish here. We inspected it since day and so and so date. We told you to clean it up. You didn't clean it up. So from so-and-so date up to today is $1 million per day per violation. So $1 million is times 30 days you've been here is $30 million you need to pay. Then we go to Tujeren, we go to Carton, we go to Sanyang, we check all the beach sites. Every area they have this, you put them those hefty fines and say until those fines are paid, you're shut off. They come and put their seals, barricade the whole area, put the military out there to secure the area that Chinese cannot work. Okay, armed forces, let them stay there and say, you guys cannot work until we see that you've paid your fines. If not, that will be their way to pack up and go, and Gambians can take it over. So it's important to enforce our policies as well. So that's what's in America. That's why nobody can come to America and play like that and do some stupid stuff like that, and they let you continue on that. That's not going to happen. So the other part is when Sawaneh said that a Gambian went and showed an investment opportunity in there, and they really, instead of taking his, allowing him to invest in Gambia, they stole his idea. I have a solution for that too. What Gambians need to do really is when you're ready to invest, you lay down your plan, you need to go to Gambia, hire an attorney, go with an attorney when you're presenting this to the government with your copyrights. Letting them know that this is my idea. You eat it. If you don't take my idea, that's okay, no problem. But you cannot use my idea on your own. If you do it, I'm going to sue you. You have an attorney present, and before you start the discussion, lay that paper down, let them read and sign it. And that government representative is the government, is representing the government. If they sign that, they sign it on behalf of the government. If they don't take your idea, that's one thing. That's okay, no problem. If they decide to leave you alone and steal your idea and go use it later on while your attorney is in the Gambia, that attorney is going to be aware of it. You're going to be aware of it yourself. You can file a lawsuit and go find and collect that money from the government. And there will be two things that will happen. The Gambia government is going to pay you hefty. The court is going to rule in your favor because you have signed documentation by government officials showing that this is your idea and they cannot copy it. If they have to copy it, if they need to copy it, they need to consult you first, and you guys negotiate at that point. You see, so all of those should have been on paper. And you know, we all know how Gambia operates. You drive this kind of car and people see they want to drive the same car. That's what happened. You build this kind of house, they see it, they want to build the same house. You know, without even consulting you, they want to build your house style. You know, people do this in Gambia, a lot of things that they copy. So something like an investment, that is somebody's idea. Nobody should be stealing your own Gambian's idea, okay? That's why I said for foreigners, when Chinese came for the first place, that's where negotiation comes in. You can let them invest if you're going to allow them to hire Gambians. I mean, if they are going to agree with your agreements with what you're going to put on paper, that if they have to, if you're going to allow them, here are the contract rules. All of these have to be met before we allow you to invest. And if they can meet all of that, you can allow them to invest. And on that investment, knowing that 90% of the employees will be Gambians, they will only bring experts from China for things that Gambians cannot do. Even in America. In America, the employment law, if you go to file if say a business owner wants to bring a foreign national to America to come work for them, you're going to have to go show the immigration, Homeland Security. There is a form that you need to fill out that shows there are legal labor laws that you have to follow to be able to do that. And one that's going to show that you did advertise the position first, at least 30 days, you put it on the newspaper, you have all of this in there, and you do not have any qualified person that can fill that position. And the requirements for that job needs somebody that has special skills that nobody else has here, or you cannot find anybody else that has it. That will be one of the requirements before you'll be allowed to sponsor somebody to even come here. So Gambia should have something like that before Chinese can be allowed to bring. You should not bring a Chinese to come and drive a forklift for you. You shouldn't bring a Chinese to come and drive a truck for you to transport goods. You should not bring a Chinese person to come and clean. You should not bring a Chinese person that's going to be there to be supplying oil to all this equipment. Those are simple things that any Gambian can do. So that's why there should be that condition that 90% of the workforce has to be Gambians. You know, you put all of those in there. So without wasting too much time, I'm going to go into the tax part of it. Taxation is very important. And when you have investors coming in, in any country, in any place, you also need to encourage investors to come in, because we know that the government cannot hire all these people. The government cannot be the only hiring body in the country. You need to allow investors to come in so they can hire a majority of the people, okay? So in doing so, this is where certain investors that can employ up to 90% of Gambians, and they said according to the structure of their job requirements, they need to hire 600 people, for example. Well, you can say if you're going to hire 600 Gambians to work for this, well, you know what? We will give you a tax break. We can give you a tax break that will allow you to hire these people and get them in there, because Gambia government knows that they're going to collect taxes from those individuals that they're going to hire. So give the investor a tax break, encourage them to come in and invest and put that big factory in the Gambia and allow, hire 600 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people that can work there. That means you took 2,000 people off the street that are sitting down and not working, just by giving that little tax break to them. Those Gambians that are going to work, of course, they're going to pay taxes. So either way, it's a win-win situation and for Gambia government by allowing those investors to hire people like that. There's a lot of different things you can do in America here. There is something called the opportunity tax credit. The opportunity tax credit, the companies in America that can hire people that are on welfare, government wants them off the welfare. And so they allow companies to hire them and get them off the welfare. Those companies, every individual that you hire that was in government's assistance program, the company get a tax break for hiring every single person. They get money for that, a tax break for that. And that also helps government to take those people off their records, take them off of your load of people that you're sponsoring, giving them food and, a shelter all the time, because you allowed companies to hire them. Companies that are going to be rewarded for hiring those people. So there are a lot of different programs that can happen that Gambia can create in Gambia for investors. And the same thing, again, at the end of the day, it will be a win-win situation for the country and for the people. So I will stop here for now and let you take over.
Thank you very much, sir. But I cannot hear Mr. Sawaneh. I think you stop your mic. Mr. Sawaneh.
Yeah, I'm here. So thank you for that insight, Sam. I think you actually touched very important points here. With the taxes, I would say, we need to look at our uncollected taxes. If you look at the Gambia, we are not too serious when it comes to taxes. Or either we are not too serious, or we are using the money for our own benefits. What I mean I'm not saying we the citizens, but the people in charge. Because the tax is supposed to build the nation. If you look at Kenya, they don't have many natural resources. Kenya is among the top African countries developed, approaching to be a developed nation. I did my findings about Kenya. What helped Kenya is mainly taxes. They were able to create tax laws and close all the loopholes that will allow people to do tax fraud. That means any places that people can bypass taxes, they will implement. They will put some rules there that will curb that. Even in the US, if you look at it, people don't mess with taxes here. What's his name? This guy is a movie actor. He was just sent to jail because he didn't pay some taxes. You know him, right?
No.
You know him?
No.
People are going to not Arnold. Is this African American guy? What's his name again? I forgot his name. Passenger 57. He acted that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So he went to jail because of that. Rich person, but he was doing some tax fraud. So
the law is for everybody.
What we have to understand is that if everybody pay their taxes, just like in the West, if you work here, So things you would do is that you must pay taxes. They will tell you there are two things that is guaranteed in life is you're either gonna die. I mean, you're gonna die and you must pay tax. That's the law that they have here. Those two are guaranteed. So tax law is very important because tax is the revenue that helps build a nation. If we collect each and every individual taxes in goods, taxes in housing, taxes in everything, in food, everything. What is going to happen is if they are collected and accounted for, and then the government put emphasis on penalties for tax fraud, okay? They have tax institutions that monitor and make sure that these monies are put together in the government coffer and used to build roads, to build hospitals, to build the environment. The Gambia will rise. There is no doubt.
I know.
If we make sure that all the taxes collected are accounted for in the airport, and then taxes also have to be reasonable because you cannot raise taxes unreasonably. You have to make sure that you raise taxes based on the need for it. I can understand some taxes are higher than others, but as long as it's reasonable to the context of that particular thing that you are raising taxes on, is perfectly fine. But we must focus on having to account. There are people in the Gambia, they haven't paid their compound taxes for ages. It happened in Jammeh time. You go to KMC. I'm one of them. I have to be honest to you guys. But the only reason is because I was not in the country. And when I went, I found out
You are a small mouse.
5 years of taxes on my house wasn't paid. And I said, gee, this is not right. I went to KMC. I told them that, you guys never really even threatened my folks in my home that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I went and paid my taxes. So we need to pay back taxes. We need to make sure that the government needs to make sure that these taxes collected are serving the right purpose, are going to the right institution. Because if we don't do that, that money is going to be stolen. And then these tax collectors also, when you go to GRE is heavy on collecting revenues. We need to make sure that the right people are there. We need to make sure we investigate them. We vet them. They are managers, all right? They are employees. Sometimes you see Gambian at a particular job area driving cars that people cannot even imagine. How do they get the money? What is going on?
From the salary.
This money are getting because of some manipulation of, funds. We have to be realistic here. Funds are getting manipulated. Somebody who is getting paid $5,000 a month just got a car. From where? While even folks who are not even in the Gambia or in abroad cannot even get those kind of cars. So we have to understand that we have to make our people accountable and cut on the corruptions. Because with taxes, when you go to ports, there are a lot of taxes that are collected, not reported. Nakeba, ninjo.
I know.
Where is the money goes? The government need to make sure that they have all the funds collected are all accounted for. And they also need to put it on the right use. That's what Kenya did. They closed all the loopholes. Everything accounted for. Collect the right taxes. Give people tax breaks who want to create small businesses. That's what the US does. If you have a small business, they will let you not pay too much tax so that you can employ more people. So these are all kind of employment. When investors come to the Gambia, maybe you kind of arrange ways how to encourage them by giving them tax break, especially in the first initial setting. These are all, ideas that the government can use to empower our people. But if we don't control our taxes and then we don't use our taxes, we would be owning debt forever. You don't have to have natural resources in the Gambia to make Gambia great. No, I'm telling you, taxes alone can do it. Let's take an example. Let's take an example from Kenya. Let's do an analysis how they're able to jump from poverty. Today, when you go to Kenya, people who live in Kenya, when you go there now, if you see their cities, if you see the job market, if you see what the citizens are doing, you'll be amazed. And this is why it's important that taxes, just taxes alone, can do the job. It's what is doing the job, maintaining, the job in the US and other places. And we have to also understand that, taxes are, in a citizen responsibility. Don't say, I don't want to pay tax, or I should not. No, you should, every one of us. Whatever activity we do, we should pay tax. If that tax is going to the right people, we should pay tax.
Right.
But when you tell the government, oh, why would I pay tax? You own that to your country. As a citizen, you need to pay tax to show that you are a genuine person, you are genuine to your cause of your country, because the tax is what drives the country. You have to understand, in this country here in US, 1/3 of your salary, if your salary is 100, 33% of it goes to the taxes. And guess what what does that do? If every citizen has 33% of their earning going towards the taxes, that's a lot of money. That is what helped the medical facility. All people who are sick, it helps pay, the road construction. It helps pay, anything that the country needs that individuals are not doing, those tax money goes there. So why are we complaining? We should be proud of paying taxes, not deviate away from paying taxes, not being hiding on the curb or being, doing tax fraud just because we don't think it's right. It is very right. So I would encourage, our government to enforce tax laws, especially our parliament. And our parliament are really sleeping as well. Yeah, having somebody to pay taxes is not robbing them. It's their civil duty, their civil responsibility. Because the money, if you know that the money is going to the right cause and building the nation, that is their civil responsibility. Take them to jail if they don't pay taxes. It's just like corruption. You do corruption, take you to jail. If we start jailing people for things like that, financial irresponsibility, to be financially irresponsible. If we start jailing people, putting them in handcuffs, Gambia will change. Yeah, all those, theft, all those thieves walking around in shadows, they will come. They will have a hiding place. Like Sam says, take them to jail. I like that.
That's right.
You take one person
That's
to
my
jail,
style.
2 people, 3 people. Guess what?
I think Sam will be a very, very hard president.
Yeah, it's not
I
only.
have-
It's not only. It's not
It's
only.
the only way. It's the
It's
only
not,
way.
it's not only criminal. It's not only criminal activity that need to be taken to jail. Take people, even if it's going to be 1 year, to jail because they failed their, their economic,
Break the law.
or they are irresponsible. They are irresponsible financially. And
I have taken someone to jail in America here in my job when I was a district manager. One person that took one carton of cigarette, put it in a bag and took it out and stole it. The next thing you know is the next time she came to work, she was in handcuffs. Right in plain view, she was in handcuffs, just like that. I like to set examples like that. That's what Gambia needs. Set example so people understand that, wow, there is a system in place here. If you do this, I don't know how this person got caught, but they're in jail now because of one carton of cigarette. Yep.
So I'm gonna let Alice come because we are over 1 hour. Then we can wrap it up. But definitely deterring, tax fraud, and then also people in collecting taxes, they must be account for everything, you know, like every budget, and make sure that the money is invested, not like come with any bogus budget from people tax money and spend it on lavishly or traveling or so. All those need to be cut. We need to tie the loopholes. We need to make sure that everything is everybody's financially accountable, and every responsible citizen who is in a civil service have their finances declared. We mentioned this
Right.
when Barrow came to power. We need, I mean, the ministers need to come and declare their finances. It never happened. It never happened. Do you know why? Because what they taught down the road, that is having the opportunity to, to do whatever they want. So declaring asset of any like some of those roles is very important. And that would have even tell us today who is corrupt and who is not. Because if I know where you start financially and you are in this journey, I will be able to calculate where you start and your journey, what you have earned throughout, and tell your financial stand. If you have found more than that, then it has to ring a bell that something that had happened. You probably took some money somewhere and you have to explain. But I will stop here and you guys will just finish it up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sawaneh and the son about that. Anyway, you are right. It's very sad that things are going like this. But I would just say, for the Gambia as a whole, whether you are a member of parliament or, we have to take it seriously, But the fact that we don't take that seriously, that's why we have all these problems where people are wondering, Again, I would not say that it's fair always to collect the tax from the little women selling their tomatoes at the market, to live from them. That is a wrong thing. In other governments, you can even say, okay, keep it. But our main problem is not from these people. The problem is from somewhere else. You understand? You mentioned it yourself. Sometimes we have to hold the people collecting that also accountable and then try to screen them where they have their big houses and so on, which is not to be compared to their salaries, things like that. But we have another stage, which is even more money, and everybody knows it and nobody talking about it. We have a lot of people having millions open for the Gambia. Some are relatives, some are uncles, some are religious colleagues, some are political colleagues. So it's better when we don't talk about it. That is Gambia, and that's our problem. So to implement such laws in the Gambia, you have to be strict. You should not look at all these things. He's a friend, you can do it. He's my uncle or friend of my uncle's father, you can do it. Even if I know I should not say. If we don't break these chains, you can do what you want. We've been talking about anti-corruption, but since. So right now, I would say that all Gambians are responsible for it. If we cannot implement that, we are going to the third year. It should have been the first bill in the parliament. So we can ask ourselves, how responsible are we all, collectively? Whether you are a voter, or you are MP, or you are the president. I mean, even the president did his job this time because he signed it. You understand? He signed it. And this thing is messing around in our parliament. And these people are voted from Gambians. And no Gambian tried to pursue his parliamentarian and say, look, why can't you not sign these things? Or why can't you not do this? So I would say we are all responsible in this case, apart from Barrow. Even if everybody throws him stone, this time I am not going to say anything against him because he signed it. And still, we are going to the fourth year, and nobody can tell you in Gambia we have anti-corruption law. And we have every institute there. We have MP, I mean, House of Parliament, we have everybody. But nobody talk about this thing because corruption is too long in our society that we happen to even take it as something normal in our society. That's why many people, they are not afraid even to steal millions and going on the streets. They are not afraid to buy biggest cars or building villas they like. Why? Because we take corruption as a normal thing in our society. So we should not wonder why many people also don't pay tax. Because some will tell you, if I pay tax, it's just going to be in the officer's pocket, not for the Gambia. You see about the airport tax, many people are criticizing that and saying, oh, it's too much. And so I'm going to Dakar. From there, it's cheaper. So I, from my side, I'll advise Gambians, let us stay, leave the money in the Gambia. When giving it away and develop the Senegalese. I mean, as you said, Mr. Sawaneh, that's the only way we can build the Gambia, you know. I mean, the $20 is too much for some, but only, I will do it also only if I know that the Gambia government is using it also to invest for the people, to build schools, that kids don't sit on bricks at the classes, you know, that people see, or even the airport, certain things to make modern, like the toilets and so. I saw a picture that is disastrous. You understand? Such things, to invest that money in such things that people say, aha, that's where the money goes. But when people say, okay, I'll pay it, and they don't say nothing, they happen to believe they are feeding somebody to buy big cars and big, yeah. So this motivation will not be there. So here we have to be realistic. There must be a law, and everybody should abide to this law, you know. And even the president is not an exception.
It's not above the law.
These are things in our society in Gambia because we have barriers, like, as I used to say, the religion colleague, party colleague, relative, you know, all this nonsense. So it's always difficult to set a law where everybody, you know, you have to be strict, like some, you know. But when you do that, know that you are not going to live long because they are going to kill you. Because, yeah, I used to say that myself, you know. If I am a president in the Gambia, I know that my days are counted. I know that because I'm not going to accept certain things. That is clear, you know. So it's good that I'm a poor person and stay here a little bit and have my peace. But I think that's the only way because it's not easy.
Yeah.
If you do that, know that you will be alone. That's not only Gambia, in many African countries, you know. You will look at this Sankara. They even killed him, that small boy, because he came and tried to close all loopholes, try to bring, you know.
Yeah, you might not last long, but it's the right thing to do for the country.
Yeah, I know, but if you can do it and still you have your peace. Only when the people, the whole Gambia as a collective, say we are going to do this, we are going to implement this and so. But look at our anti-corruption board bill. Nobody knows where
everything starts with the leader, Alice. If you want to wait for all Gambia to get up and do and say they want to do it.
Yeah, but in this case, I am not going to blame the leader for it because we know that it's being signed from Bang. But it's in the parliament. Normally, it should be the other way around. As the parliament go and blow his office and say, look, sign this because it's going to be active next week. But this time, it's the other way around. You understand?
Okay.
So we have a lot to do.
Okay.
And again, I wanted to say we have a lot of millions with people who are supposed to pay the Gambian tax. They are keeping quiet because they are prominent and nobody wants to talk about it. And that is not fair. So they go to the people at the market Serekunda, they are selling their tomatoes and they have to give every day, they have to pay their tax. So here we have to think about it and try to be fair. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that. What is your final thought on this, Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Alice, and thanks both of you for sure. But when it comes to taxes, it's just like everything else. In my mind, I want to look for loopholes and close the loopholes. Okay, I can guarantee you, if I walk into the Gambia Port Authority today and see how they do things, immediately with the loss prevention mind that I have and experience that I have, I can say, okay, I won't tell them what happened. I won't tell them where they're stealing money or where the money is going. I'm going to implement something that's going to stop them from taking money. I want to come up with ideas that will stop them from taking money, because it will make it very difficult for them to take it, because if they take it, it will be known. So we can catch them and prosecute them and take them to prison. All right. So, but when it comes to taxes, I think Gambia needs to get away from having the tax collectors go to the market every day and collecting money from people. That's, to me, that's nonsense. What needs to really happen is get a system in place, a computerized system in place that shows that Serekunda market has 500 stores, store 1 to 500 stores. Okay. If you have store 1 all the way to 500, and annually they need to pay 5,000, for example. I'm just giving an example. If each store pays 5,000, okay, so 5,000 is what you need to pay your taxes. We have a computerized system that shows store number 1, 3, and 5 came in and paid. Here's their 5,000 that's in there. Towards, we have a certain time of the year where we enforce to make sure people pay their taxes, to make sure that we can make it a monthly collection. 5,000 is what you need to pay every month. This is what you pay. Or every 6 months, this is what you pay, but not every single day that you're going after, because some people don't make money every single day. So you cannot collect money from them every day. All right. We need to allow them. So, but they also know that the system, the standard is, I have to pay my taxes so and so month. If they know that, they will put that money together to be able to pay their taxes. So if, for example, there are 500 shops in Serekunda market, each shop pays 5,000 a year. All right, that's $2,500,000 that you're going to collect. If you have a computerized system, everything is in there. Store number 1 all the way to store 500. You can see who paid and who did not pay. It should be entered. All right. So 5 year span, that's $12 million or more. You're talking over $12 million is there. So if you have a system in place where you can track what is being paid, and you know that is in there, it's very easy that, okay, if all 500 stores paid their tax at the end of the year, we can do an audit. We see that, yes, all of them paid. So we should have, this KMC should have deposited $12,500,000 to the bank. Is that money there? No. If it's not there, where did it go? Who did not pay? You go in the system and see who didn't pay. Very simple. We make things so complicated for ourselves. And there are some people that are there to manipulate things. Not everybody. There are some very honest people, I'll say that. But there are some people that want to make things so difficult and complicated so that nobody understands what's happening. Well, there are some smart people, okay? And there's some smart people that are going to know what is happening. And they need to close those loopholes so that every single money is accounted for in every place. I mean, the area council collects a lot of taxes. Port Authority, the airport, all of these collected a lot of taxes. They need to come up with a tariff where it shows people this is what it is. So if you have this much, this is what you pay. Very simple, computerize it, people pay it, it all get collected. We should know how much that is. And that should be public. That should be a public information that people know that so-and-so year, this is how much money was collected at the Port Authority. This is how much money was collected at the airport. This is how much money KMC collected from just Serekunda market. Basically, all of those should be transparent for people to see. They should be, that way, they are also being held accountable for the money they collected. Now we can say, all right, that little street by Serekunda market, usually there is water standing there all the time. KMC, well, you collected $12 million. Spend $300,000 and fix that. Get it fixed. They can utilize their money and fix people's problems as well as they go. So things do. I know KMC is doing a great job. I want to say that they're doing a great job. I'm just using them as an example. When I say that, I'm talking every market: Bakau, Serekunda, Banjul, Brikama. I mean, you name it, everywhere in the Gambia. All of them should have a system where everything is being tracked so that they can see where the money is going. and then we can hold them accountable for what did you use that money for. Just that simple. So it's a matter of closing loopholes and somebody understanding, but it's also important for the leader to know how. If the leader doesn't have any clue, I mean, anybody can go to the leader and say, well, it's going to be done this way. They can confuse him and he won't know what is happening. And all the money can be going somewhere else.
And that's how it works.
So it all starts from the top. The leader should be someone that knows how or has some idea and understanding, and also then surround himself with people that knows other things that he doesn't know so they can advise him well. But if you surround yourself with people that don't know anything, and they're part of the people that are those who watch people and those who wonder what happened because they have no clue, then the president was going to be in the same boat with them. And we will continue to lose and we cannot develop our country. So at the end of the day, it's all boils down to closing loopholes and holding people accountable and be able to see what is coming into a country and be able to utilize it the right way. So thank you all.
All right. So that brings us to the end.
Sam.
Yeah, Sam, Alice, to this wonderful show. I mean, I hope, you know, our audience, they get some takeaway. It's a lot of investment ideas, a lot of, you know, ideas for taxes as well. And also a lot of ideas that have been said here about controlling and closing, you know, those loopholes to help us prosper. So let's all be encouraged to invest. And hopefully we're going to have a greater Gambia than this one. Definitely. Yeah. So it's about, you know, 1 something now in Eastern time. So I guess we can just wrap it up until next week. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Sawaneh, then I'm leaving.
Thank you.
Because I have to. I think I have to leave you also.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you all.
Yeah. See you next week.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.